Hello gamers, it's SoftKitty99 in Parkitect. In the last episode we took a look in the Crossway Sea and we started at Archipelago Adventures. In this episode I'd like to move to the next one and take a look at the park that I built for Adventure Island. This small island park with a unique observation tower wants to attract more guests, but its cold and wet climate is keeping visitors away. Scenario: have at least 500 guests in your park, have a happiness rating of at least 80%, and optional, complete or non-optional goals by the end of December year 2 in order to get the gold medal. I have to tell you that I tried this a couple of times. The first time I kept this scenic observation tower open and it caused an awful lot of problems. First, because it has a ride entrance at the bottom in order to go up the elevator, and then at the top you need a second ride entrance in order to come back down the elevator. This means that the staff don't tend to go up to the top of the tower, which means that it becomes litter strewn and a real mess, and then really messes up your park rating. So unless you station a janitor at the top of the park to clean up the mess, but then even so it's hard for him to get back down. You have to manually pick him up and move him all the time. So what I did on the second time I tried to play the game, I actually closed the observation tower and the side of the park where the observation tower exists, and then just built the park as I normally would from the entrance gate area, and that worked really well and I got my gold medal. So I just wanted to let you know that before we actually went in to take a look at the park, that the actual observation tower itself I didn't include in my park, though they are using that as a feature thing in the description for the park, which makes you think that you're going to need to keep that open. So let's zoom out and let me show you. We've got a big, so look, we've got why is the carousel always broken and doing this juddery craziness? It was doing that in the last scenario, wasn't it? Right, so your entrance way is here. This is where your staff come in here, and you've got your goods in depot here and all your staff stuff here, and then if you come all the way along the park, the scenario starts with this big bee ride. No, that's a guest. This great big roller coaster, the Killer Bee, is in the game when you first start, and it's really quite a sad little one because it can only run 2 cars at a time. Look, these little tiny 4-person cars, 6 people. It doesn't put many people in. I think it's 6 people in a car, and it can only run 2 because it doesn't have any brake runs in the middle of the coaster. So it's actually quite a poor attraction, and it has an absolutely enormous queue. So people start to get really upset that they're stuck in this queue. So I cut down a lot of the length off the length of the queue line to try and make things a bit better. But so although it looks like a great starting point, it actually can be a bit of a problem. So what you see is you've got this huge long path going all the way to the back here where the observation tower is, and it also had a couple of little shops here. What's that? Let's spin around. This little hut here had a couple of shops in it, with no goods depot though, so the staff were trying to walk all the way along. And if you try and keep this open, like I said, you have a problem with refuse and garbage being left at the top of the tower, and it's such a long way for people to walk, and of course you immediately need to build another depot for these shops, that I just turned this off, basically cut the path down here so that they couldn't get down there, and that made everybody a lot happier. And the park that I've built then is only in this starting section, because the island itself just keeps going all the way down here to where this observation tower is, and all the way over here. So you've got tons of space for building, but I recommend that you cut the path somewhere in this section. See, what I've got here is I've got a sign saying don't go past this point right here, look. So the staff, nobody, don't forget to turn your staff off. You don't want your staff wandering here. So either just completely break the path and turn the ride off at the end and delete the shops, or just put a sign that stops absolutely everybody going down here. So here we've got the end of this little path, so you can come to just look at the Killer Bee going round. There's quite a few seats along this little section here for people. Lots of foliage. We've made it like a forest landscape, so I've used lots of different foliage trees. We've got a weeping willow, we've got little fir trees, a maple, and then lots of plants around and bushes. I love these little pots with these little pink flowers in. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I haven't used them much in the game before, but use them at little corners along the pathway here, just make it nice. Lots of flowers and bushes and things all the way around the park. Like I said, try and make it kind of a foresty feel. So like we started in a forest and then we've just decorated by adding extra flowers and things around, a few flower beds around. So we've got toilets right here at the end of the park to give people place to go to the toilet. And so we've tucked it down the side here and hidden it by a curtain of trees so people can sit here without having to see the toilet building. And then from here, let's start at the back end of the park. We start with the topple tower. It's quite popular for me, I think, the topple tower. The guests love it, look, and it actually can sit quite a few people. Let's just go a little tiny bit further out so you can see this in action. So the people sit on the disc, and then the disc rises up the tower, and then it starts to spin on the disc, and then the whole tower starts to rotate and tip you as it goes. And it tips a little bit at the beginning and then tips further and further as you go, and it's got this big cantilever weight down here, this big green weight, to stop it completely tipping over. And then round and round you go, and back to upright, and then we're going to tip the other way and keep spinning as we go. So the guests found that quite popular. It's got quite a decent throughput because it seats quite a lot of people. And that looks out to the sea, so we could have added a few more rides, but we didn't need to here. And behind it we've got the coaster. It's the bamboo boa, so you can take a look at that one in the build schematics. Like I said, for these scenarios I'm utilising most of the things that have already been... Oh, no, follow this one, don't follow the one that's coming back into the station. That's it, we're at the top of the lift hill, round we go. So the bamboo boa, changed it to make sure it's got green tracks so it blends in with our forest scenery again. And green's always a very calming and relaxing colour, so it's a good choice for giving visitors good vibes. And the green, of course, blends in beautifully with the forest, and we wind in and out through the trees, which I just think adds a little bit to the atmosphere of the ride. And like I said, that's one of the rides that's in the blueprints. If you look in the... Here, look, so coasters. I'm not sure which one it is actually. There you go. It's the junior coaster, the bamboo boa here. So about $4,000 to build that one. It's a lovely little layout actually, very nice. And then here's the little station. I've just used the pavilions for the station, made them green in keeping with our setting. And just going past here, we've got another coaster at the side right here, look. Let's follow the coaster around. This is the little junior coaster. Just a couple of little loops, keep the kiddies happy as we go around, just a little loop. There we go, a couple of loops around there. And then just down here, out onto the water, we've got the paddler boats. Can't have a big island without paddler boats, can you? So yes, it's quite hard to get to the water to put your paddle boat ride in, so we've got quite a long walk to get to it, so I put in a couple of coasters to entice people down in this direction, and then they can have a nice gentle ride on here if the coasters have upset them a bit. So they can have a little relax. So if we come back up here, we've got shops. We're back to where the toilets and the top of tower. We've got our shop building here. We use the fantasy theme walls here, look, on the outside. Just giving it a boring flat roof because I just think it's a forest, so a beautiful brown roof kind of fits with the forest. So the topple tower, it might have been nice to have something a bit more decorative for the topple tower and the coaster to view out over, rather than just the boring brown roof. I think if it was a more long-term park, I would have tried to think of something a little bit more fun on the top. But this nice fantasy decoration, I like these walls. I think we've got a lot of potential. So let's hide the scenery so we can see which shops we've got. So we've got a staff room and a trash chute and a depot in here, so that the staff don't have to trudge all the way from the entrance way down there. We've got ice cream, cotton candy, hot dogs, hot drinks and pretzels. I think the reason we've got that selection of shops is because I think that's the only shops that I've managed to get Yeah, see, all else we've got is umbrellas, which I think we had in a different one, and that's about it, a vending machine. That's all there is really. So let's hide the shops again with the top of the view, and across from the shops we've got more seating around here. Got lots of these little red flowers, bit of decoration around where you've got the shops. We've got a twister. I built a little cover on the twister. Actually, do you know what? I don't think I did build that. I think this came in the scenario with the killer bee. I think we already had this when it came. So that's actually a nice design, isn't it, for the potential of a simple build. So you've just got glass and a few supports, but it will keep the rain off, because they did warn us that the rain was going to be a problem here. Yeah, so this was the ride that came with the killer bee when it started. So they do give you a few rides when you first start here, so do keep that in mind when you're starting out, that you need to check the prices of these things, because the game itself tends to make them really quite low prices. And behind that you've got the killer bee. Like I said, I cut the station queue down quite a bit, because I think it's snaked further down here, I think, and more around here, so I've shortened it a bit, because the people get really upset for being stuck in this really long queue for a super long time. So let's follow the killer bee as it goes around. I think it's about 6 people it's got in the train. Might be 8 if we're lucky. Well, I think it's 8, because they've got 2 guys without hats on and 2 with hats on. So yeah, it'll see 8, which is not a lot of people considering how long a layout this is. So let's watch it. So this is one of those vertical drop coasters. As you can see, it's a bee because it's got yellow and then black segments, which I don't think we can do ourselves. Change it a bit yellow and then a bit black. That's not one of the options for building track ourselves, so it's quite an interesting design. I don't think we can do that. If anyone knows how you can do that personally, let me know, because I don't know of any way to do that. So we do a vertical drop and then a big loop. And corkscrew into a loop. Ah! Corkscrew, high up in the air. Ooh. And down and up you go, upside down again. Right way round, whiz round. Another corkscrew, lots of corkscrews on this one. I really love the corkscrews on this killer bee. And twist again. And have you been upside down enough now, guys? And back into the brake run. So it's quite a long coaster, and it only runs 2 trains, so as I say, the queue gets really long and the people stuck in the queue get really upset. So I tried to shorten the queue. I probably could have shortened it a little bit more, and if I came back to do it again I probably would shorten it a little bit more. Right next to that's the info kiosk, and if we come back up here, back to where we had the twister, see the entrance to the twister is right here near the killer bee, and the exit comes down to where the shops are, and down there is where we've got our junior coasters and our paddle boats down the end. And right next to the food court on this side we have the top scan, which is just emptying off at the moment, and twist back into this section to the entrance to the twister. And right here we've got a drop tower, the gyro drop tower. That's one of the little circular ones that tend to go up and then turn around at the top to give you a view over your park, and then they drop you down. We've got more toilets right here, again turned just off to the side so that the view isn't into the park, and a couple of trees to cut off the entrance view of the entrance ways into the toilets. Got the info kiosk here, the wave swinger, slightly raised up here so that it has a big view of the ocean, and the carousel, and we're back to the entrance to the killer bee here at the info booth. Another info booth right by the entrance to the park right here. We've got all of our depots here, and another set of shops right here. Again, I've used the fantasy walls, and here we have the cotton candy, pretzels, umbrellas, see that's why we didn't have it in the other one, and the hot drinks. And that is everything in this particular park. Sadly it's just started to rain. Well, like I said, the most important thing to this is the observation tower itself makes it really difficult to do this park. So my biggest recommendation is to close the tower, delete the shops in this building, and then block the path off down here somewhere. Maybe start by blocking it off just after your twister to keep people in a smaller section, and then build your park around the killer bee and the twister. Shorten the queue for the killer bee, and then just build your park in this section. And I think it's worked out really well. I like the view in the dark there, actually. It's quite nice. You can see all the lights on the rides, so that's kind of cool. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. From Soft Kitty 99, goodbye and happy gaming!